Mogotsi was an ally of Matlala. Now, in this context, Mogotsi was used by Matlala as a messenger to the minister. What is your take on that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the relevant officials like General Kumalo will be able to show you that. I think also General Mkonazi did show you those links. Yes, I believe what they are saying.
Yeah, because we are not doing an academic exercise here, National Commissioner. We are trying to get to the bottom of these allegations. So what we want to get from your responses is what will assist us in doing investigations of all these allegations. Now, my difficulty is that in the evidence that has been accused so far, orally and in terms of the documents that were perused, the conversations that we have seen are conversations between the minister, are the conversations between Brown Mogotsi and the commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, wherein Mogotsi claims that he has some influence to the minister, and conversations between Brown Mogotsi and Matlala. Now, if the minister comes here and say, I don't have any relationship with Mogotsi, Mogotsi used my name to advance selfish narrow interest and for material gains. Are you in possession of any evidence that suggests that that will be a lie?
Well, I believe General Mkonazi might have showed you some WhatsApp messages, and General Kumalo will still show you other messages which they can give evidence to that effect in terms of communication that talks to between Mr. Mogotsi, between Ted Matlala, and between the minister. They will be able to show you that.
You know why I'm asking that question, National Commissioner, is because I've been in a political space for some time. And I know that it's a general tendency of some comrades to use names of those who occupy higher echelons for their self-enrichment or for their material gains. So I anticipate that the defense of the minister might be that my name was wrongly used here. There is absolutely nothing that suggests that I've got a relationship with Mogotsi. I only know Mogotsi from a distance as a comrade. He had no influence in the running of SAPS. That is why I was able to write a letter that terminates the 360 million contract. What would you say? I'm asking this because we need evidence to resolve these matters. What would you say? How would you respond? Are we in a position to prove that wrong, that defense wrong, if the minister comes with that defense?
Yeah, I'm sure the officials that I'm talking about will be able to show you the links. That's why I didn't want to give evidence of the second person. They will be able to give evidence to that effect. But I wouldn't overrule that. As you say, you are in the political space. You know the environment and how people behave. That I can't deny. You talk from experience. But the officials will be able then to indicate those WhatsApps that will show money movement and linkages. I think you just have to give it space until they give evidence.
So to what extent has this so-called corrupt relationship caused the damage in the running of SAPS? So this alleged corrupt relationship between the minister and Mogotsi, ultimately Matlala? To what extent has it caused the damage?
Well, the first damage is this disbandment of the directive of the 31st of December. That is a damage.
Okay, now let's go to the disbandment of the political task team, political killings task team. Is there any piece of legislation which prescribes how a task team can either be formed or dissolved? Or there's a lacuna?
No, there's no legislation. Legislation says the National Commissioner can organize and reorganize, establish institutions, depots, unions, and so on. So, but of course, even a task team, one can take it as part of that. So, but doesn't mean can necessarily be established by national committee. It can be established at lower levels also.
Yeah, so the advice that you can give to us as lawmakers is that you must close that gap, correct?
You must.
In terms of formulating the law, we must close that gap. Is that the advice you can give to us as lawmakers?
The advice I can give is, if you can, obviously, dwell more on defining what the minister can do. What is the minister's function, and what is the National Commissioner's functions?
Okay, if I heard you precisely yesterday during your oral testimony, you made a mention of a task team which preceded the 2018 task team. And you said you identified some weaknesses in that task team. Ipso facto, you established another task team which was multidisciplinary, in that it consisted SAPS, NPA, etc., etc. Now, in that, how was that? Because you never spoke about its formulation and disbandment. How was it formulated and disbanded? You only spoke about the formulation of the 2018 task team, which started from the visit of the president, establishment of the interministerial committee, etc., etc. And you spoke less about the formation of the previous one. May you please take us through?
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. So you want me to?
Yes, the previous task team which preceded the 2018 one, how was it formulated and dissolved, later dissolved?
Yeah, the previous task team, when it was formulated, I was involved. We went to KZN. It was myself and the former, by then, Minister of Police, Mr. Fikile Mbalula. We got a briefing to the provincial commissioner or the acting provincial commissioner. That time, I can't understand and remember. I think it was acting provincial commissioner, Major General Langa, I suppose. And after that briefing, and we said these political killings are a problem, so we need to do something. Then myself and General Langa, I said, no, Minister, in this case, we will establish a task team. And that agreement was endorsed, and the provincial commissioner established a task team consisting of members from various units and stations, including the DPCI. Actually, the brigadier from DPCI was the head of that specific task team.
So you later dissolved it on the basis that it was not fulfilling its responsibilities to your satisfaction, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Did you identify some elements of criminality within that task team from the members of SAPS?
No, what we identified was not necessarily criminality, but it was more the fact that they come from local, they interact a lot with local politicians. We identify that as a problem.
As a weakness.
As a weakness, yes.
So there were no criminalities that were taking place.
Not as far as I remember, but I know there were, but it wasn't members of this task team. There was one or so that was arrested for murders at Cleveland, but he wasn't a member of this task team. It was just a police official.
Okay. Now, in the 2018 task team, you said that there was an involvement of different components because you wanted to tighten its strength. There was an involvement of SAPS, NPA. Now, where was the NPA reporting? Was the NPA also reporting to SAPS, or they were reporting to their bosses in the NPA?
No, the NPA were reporting to their bosses.
Maybe let me clarify my question. I'm asking in relation to the work that they were doing as in the scope of the political killings task team. Where were they reporting?
Yeah, they were reporting to their bosses, but of course, they work with the team. They will give, now and then they will take dockets and look at them and give guidance in terms of the investigation. That's why the fact that we wanted them to be dedicated to work with the team was that if you use an ordinary prosecutor who's sitting at court, he received a lot of dockets, receive GBV, receive assault and so on. So that doesn't make him to be focused. So these ones, they were there for the team to guide the team in terms of investigation, to assist the team. So they were interacting with the team and the coordinator of the team. But of course, they'll also give progress to their offices.
General Lamkwana said, I'm not quoting him verbatim, I'm just paraphrasing. He said that they made a gruesome discovery that some of members of the PKTT were compromised, the result of which they took a decision to rotate them. Are you in agreement with that?
Right from the word go, there was no really member that would work there permanent. They were rotated continuously. I'm aware that, yes, there were those that were arrested.
Are there any members of the NPA who were found to be on the wrong side of the law? And if so, what actions were taken against them?
I don't remember any. What I remember was there was members of SAPS that were, there were members of SAPS that were, there is members of SAPS that were arrested that were not part of the team. And there is one that I can remember of who was part of the team who was arrested by the same team. And in terms of NPA, let me recorrect my statement. I'm aware that there were cases opened by the team against members of the NPA, and which I end up having a meeting myself with the director, National Director of Public Prosecutions on the matter.
Okay. National Commissioner, let's go to a letter dated the 31st of December 2024. If I heard you correctly when you were responding to, I think, to Honorable Ngola, you said holistically the letter was wrong. So when you say that, do you mean that the minister was acting ultra vires in all the regarding all the instructions that he gave in that letter? Because remember, the instruction was not only related to the disbandment of political killings. There were other 2 instructions, and in total there were 3. So the minister acted ultra vires. Is that your conclusion?
Yeah, I did say that according to me, yes, he acted wrong on two matters: political disbandment of political killing task team, and the matter of the stop filling of posts in the crime intelligence. The ports of entry, no, I don't think there's anything wrong there.
Yeah, because somewhere in your statement you have articulated the statutory and constitutional responsibility of the National Commissioner and those of the Minister. The gist of the Minister's responsibility is to formulate and implement policy. That is correct.
Honorable Chair, yes, yes, to develop national policing policy.
So these matters were not related to that scope of framework. They were operational matters.
According to me, the two, they were operational matters that were within my terrain of managing. I could, if you have a problem with the task team, you could have said, I have a problem, 1, 2, 3 with the task team. Then I would go and investigate, see how serious is that. If it's so much serious that I should disband the task team, then I will do it, or take out the members and bring other ones. Yes, that's what I would have done.
Okay, the last paragraph of that letter says, open quote, "My observation in this regard, as indicated above, is that further existence of this team is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa." Now, I know that your sentiments around this, your sentiments are that the team was effective because you went to an extent of giving us statistics of the arrests that were made and the investigations. Now, so I want to get the extent of the work that was done by this political killings task team. You know, I'm going to put a proposition to you, and I would request your opinion. And the reason why I'm going to put this proposition is because I want to be sure if you arrived at the root cause of political killings in KZN during your investigations. Because there's a perception that at the center of political killings, taxi bosses are involved. Now, my assertion is that National Commissioner, because of a decline of the profit margin in the taxi industry, the former the former taxi bosses resorted to getting involved into tenders. And their anchors in tenders are politicians. To safeguard their interests, they still use the same modus operandi that they used when they were still taxi bosses, of eliminating people who appear to be problematic to them. When you are doing, because I'm trying to establish the effectiveness of that team, did you go to that extent when you were making your investigations? And do you agree with my assertion?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Yes, to an extent, we have picked up that, taxi environment, they move to the political sphere for tender purposes. And that assertion is true. But also in the province like Western Cape, in terms of the gangs, they're also doing the same.
Are you aware of a perception that the police are scared of taxi bosses? Are you aware of that public perception? That the police are scared of dealing with taxi bosses?
No, they might be that same, but I know that they are not.
No,
Maybe
remember,
some police, not all.
perception is not a fact. It's just a perception. I'm not saying that by being a perception, then it's true. But are you aware of that perception?
No. Police that are afraid of taxi bosses. No.
That is why the taxi industry took over during the looting. It's because there was a great loss of confidence in the police. In some areas, in some malls, in Mzimkulu, for instance, where I come from, the police gave over and the taxi industry took over and there was order in town.
Okay.
Are you aware of that perception?
Well, I wouldn't deny it. I wouldn't deny what you are saying, but I will deny that there's a general perception that police are afraid of taxi bosses, whereas we are arresting the taxi bosses.
Okay, so was this political killings task team able to arrest some of the taxi bosses who are involved in killing comrades?
Offhand, I wouldn't be able to comment on that one. I don't know. Yeah, I never checked that. I don't know, Honorable Chair. But what I know is we do arrest them. We've just cleaned up Eastern Cape, and now we are coming here. From here, we go Gauteng. So we are not afraid of them. No.
Okay, let's go to General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of KZN. Went to the media on the 6th of July. One would say he just became helpless in the situation because at some point he attempted to appear before the Zondo Commission. They never allowed him to appear. He tried to address his concerns within SAPS. He was never given audience. So his conduct on the 6th of December was as a consequence of desperation and was as a consequence of the fact that he lost confidence in the system. Is that correct?
No, I wouldn't say so. I agree that, yes, he did report to those various authorities that you said. And, well, on the 6th, he ended up going, making a press conference. Honorable Chair, you should be aware that, remember, when he went on the conference on the 6th, it's after that we know now what is happening. Before that, we didn't know, and he didn't go to a press briefing.
Okay, if the minister comes here and say, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is doing all of this because he is part of a certain cabal in the SAPS, which involves General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the National Commissioner, and General Khumalo, how will you react to that?
Well, the fact that it's not a cabal. We are not a cabal. We are just doing our work. Whoever will call us a cabal, I will be suspicious if maybe is that person not in some way in charge of a cabal. We are not a cabal. We are just doing our work. And it's been a long time that we have been doing this work. Can go back to 2011 when we were there. We did the work. And even now, all what we want to do is to do the work. We are doing the work with the political killings task team in KZN. In Gauteng, we discovered what's happening, and we are investigating that. In CI, when Minister Kel was still around, we said, myself and Khumalo, we said with him to say, hey, let's fix this, and he agreed. And up to so far, I think he's the only minister that I know agreed that let's clean up crime intelligence. And he committed to that, and we started the process. Unfortunately, then he left, and unfortunately, with the new minister, it never went through that. If we are cabal for what? To do, we're doing what?
Okay.
We're dealing with what?
My second last question, Chair.
Mm.
General Ndlandla Mkhwanazi said he thinks that General Khumalo is a target. Do you also hold the same view? Because he even said that at some point there was an attempt to kill him at the airport, and they had to beef up his security. And there was also an attempt to link him with the murder of Cindy Somakak, which was frivolous. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that.
Who is targeting Mr. Khumalo? And why is he a target?
I wouldn't know why they target him, but one thing I know is that General Khumalo is a good investigator, and he does his investigation proper. Yes, I will agree that he's been targeted, and I do agree that there were those incidents, and we beefed up security. And I think, yeah, some of the matters might require certain in camera to delve much on them, which might affect investigations. So I think maybe one would, it might not be a good platform to get into some of those details.
Is it true that the DG in the presidency is protected by members of the task force? Are you aware of that?
No, it's not.